Hello, Niaz. Thank you so much for joining me today for this conversation. How are you
Hello,
feeling?
Sonia. Thank you for having me. I'm feeling absolutely great being in this beautiful scenic spot.
Yes, yeah. Tell us where you're coming from. Tell us where you're tuning in from.
I am currently in One Tree Hill Picnic Ground up in the Dandenong Ranges. Today is Australia Day, so I've given myself an opportunity to just be out in nature through most of the day and
Mm.
yeah, be more grounded. Hence.
Awesome, awesome. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself before we kick into some of the questions.
All right. So I am Niaz. My performer name is Ninja Niaz because I am a fire performer by night and IT consultant and digital marketing consultant by day. I have been doing martial arts all my life, mostly, and it's a big part of my personality. And alongside that, I also like stunts, cycling, camping, fishing, everything to do with going on adventures. That's me.
Yes, and I remember first meeting you through some friends and being thoroughly impressed with your ninja skills. You were performing with some fire, and I was completely mesmerized. It was
Thank you.
mind blowing.
I try.
You're very good at it. So I would love for you to share with us, why did you sign up for one-on-one coaching? You were part of a container, I think, for about, I think it was 6 to 8 months we worked together. I think it ended up being about 8 months in total that we spent in a coaching container.
Yes. It was a while.
Mhm.
Well, because I was at a point in my life at the time where I felt like I was helpless and sinking into a very low mental health state. And I acknowledged that I needed help and I didn't know what to do myself. And I felt like my next step forward in life would be to reach out to you after a conversation I had with you. So at that point in my life, a lot of it had to do with I had a girlfriend who was the love of my life, and after a beautiful year together, I we faced heaps of a lot of problems, and I was stuck in a really bad mental health space, and I didn't really know how to get out of it. And then I reached out and I was not really talking to anyone and was sinking deeper and deeper. But then a friend of mine who is also a life coach in Bangladesh, I reached out to her and she told me something that really hit. She said, all these sorrows, troubles that you have is not because of her or anyone else. It's because of you. You are the root of your own
Mm.
sorrows. And I thought about it and I was like, all right, if I look at it that way, then there's something I can do about it
Mhm.
because I can't do anything about external situations, but I can work on myself.
Mhm.
And I started looking things up. My friend offered me like to look into inner child healing because she said that was something good. And then that's where you come into the picture, where we were at a friend's gathering, and I was talking about, yeah, so look, I'm looking into inner child healing and I'm trying to work on myself because that's what I think I need some work on. And then you gave me some amazing recommendations about, trying to define your feelings better. I still have the feeling chart you showed me on the first day because it was like, all right, I've never really explored emotions.
Mhm.
And once I started, I was like, all right, she's given me a lot of insight, a lot of things to work with. And I've just had a short conversation with her. How
Mhm.
would it be if I actually worked with her? And I felt like I needed it that time.
Mhm.
I needed that support. And so that was my starting point into our coaching container.
Awesome. Awesome. And did you have any doubts or hesitations before we started working together?
Of course I did. Um, I don't come from a culture upbringing where emotional intelligence for men is like looked is supported or is a thing. So a big part of me was like, I can use discipline and pushing my feelings down as the best way to do it, because that's what I've been doing all my life. And this would just, you know my ego obviously got in the way at times and went like, you don't need help like this, you need to be a tough man and stuff. So
Mm.
definitely doubts. And I mean, it was I was like, instead of running away or dealing or coping with the pain, I was diving into the pain and accepting it. And that in itself, of course, brings a lot of resistance, because now I'm there sitting with the pain. And I think that's something that we did a lot of when you and I were having our sessions. Was
Mm.
I was like literally sitting, like I literally looking into the pain. And you know in a situation like that, my ego and all of me would fully try to run away from it as what I thought was normal, beforehand. So that's where I had all my resistance and doubts.
Mm. Mm. Yep.
Luckily, a part of me knew that this is the way forward. So I
Yep.
followed that.
Yep. Yep. So what you're saying is there were doubts and hesitations even before coming into the work, but even as we worked together, some of the processes, because they were unfamiliar and new and meant doing something different to what we've been conditioned to do, there was resistance that came up, but we worked through that and kept going, essentially.
I saw results.
Mm.
So I was
Mm.
like, this is it. I haven't seen results like this in a year, because I was in that headspace for almost a year.
Yeah.
And then when we started working together, I immediately started seeing results. Not because not because like you coddled me or told me what to do, but more so you showed me where I need to work.
Mm.
And the first session we had, actually very significant for me, because you listened to me and you said the word that comes up for me is powerlessness.
Mm.
And for me, that was really big. And the lesson that we show our external personality as a way to protect the opposite version of that lives within us. And
Mm.
that made me see why I am the way I am, and how, like, that the fact that there is the opposite of my strong disciplined external personality. um there's an internal version of me that does feel weak, powerless, and I was actively running away from it. So
Mm.
that's when my journey of embracing my powerlessness started,
Mm.
which was very crucial to my growth.
Yeah, I remember that session. Awesome. So, what motivated you to actually go ahead with our coaching container despite the hesitations you had, which were, oh, we're not supposed to deal with this stuff, just get on with it.
I was getting results. How do I put this? um Stay Okay, it's best for me to explain it with physical injury, because I've had several of those in my life.
Mhm.
But say you have a bruise, right? Like, and it's black. And for someone who doesn't know how to heal that, you would try different things. When you put an ice pack on it, for example, given that that's how it gets better, initially it hurts,
Mm.
but then you see the results.
Mhm.
So I tried many different things. Initially, I was just trying to ignore it,
Mhm.
avoid it,
Mhm.
massage it. But the pain for me didn't really go away in the long term. But
Mm.
when we had our first conversation, even outside of the container, and I felt more of my pain in the short term, but in the long term, I felt more at peace. I felt like I had finally chipped out a bit of the issue
Mm.
by actually addressing it and dealing with it.
Mm.
And that made me realize, all right, this is it. This is the path. And it's going to be more painful. It's going to be even worse. I'm going to have to deal with the entirety of the situation.
Yep.
But in the long term, I am growing on the right path. So that assured me that, I am going to keep moving forward.
Excellent, excellent. So much courage. I remember feeling that warrior in you that was just ready to just go and dive in. Like, I'm here for this.
Thank you. I
Yeah,
tried.
yeah, you did. So I'd love to know, where were you at? I think you mentioned a little bit, but where were you at when we first started coaching, and where are you now? It's been, a few months since our containers ended, I think a bit longer. What's been the progression for you? Where were you then? Where are you now?
You mean from the start of our coaching container or from the end of our coaching container?
I would say from the start of our coaching container. Yeah.
Damn. From the start of our coaching container, I found it very challenging to even say the words, I love you, to myself. I couldn't. From the start of our coaching container, when I said I am safe, I didn't believe myself.
Mm.
So I was filled with self-doubt, fear, discomfort in my own skin, and just being overwhelmed by doubts. I was a child without parents, just helpless. That's how I felt. And I felt like I was at the mercy of um, all my conditioning and all the voices. And I was definitely in an unfamiliar spot. And I had so many things that had like built up over time, like emotionally, that was also weighing me down. So that's where I was at the start of our coaching container. Um, Now it's been a while after a coaching container. Given that that was one of the big steps of being, it was there was a snowball effect where first month, like I saw exponential increase because I started changing certain aspects of my life, and they kept giving compounding benefits over time. So it was fixing little aspects here and there, starting with, say, affirmations, looking at like having space to express emotions, like previously pent up emotions, um, starting to put myself into uncomfortable situations, which, like, starting to seize opportunities that I'd always dreamed of but never felt worthy to take, and just chucking that voice away and actually giving it a go, and not being afraid of failure anymore, knowing that that's part of the process. And so all of these had compounding benefits over time. And now where I'm at is I am significantly more successful in every aspect of my life. From then on, I am confident. I know who I am. I know what I'm meant to do. I know where I'm meant to be. I have I have my own routine, discipline set in life. I feel really at peace due to knowing of where I am, and just having an inner knowing of, just why things are the way they are, and hence just going with it, going with life, going with my own, like, putting in my own energy, and just being okay with everything and being centered within myself. And now I do say I love you to myself more often, and hence I love everyone else around me more from a less attachment and more unconditional love point of view. Because if I can love myself, then I can truly love others. And what was the other thing about self? About, yeah, I am safe. Well, shit. I've just recently jumped off a cliff with a rope tied to my waist, so I'm pretty sure I felt safe to do that. So that was a
Very
good sign,
yes.
Yeah.
I want to point out that it's really interesting you're mentioning safety and love in the same context, because very often when we truly feel emotionally safe in our bodies, that's when we feel more physically safe in our bodies as well. So I think this is a testament to the work that you've done over the last year in building emotional safety within yourself, by providing yourself a safe space internally to feel what you feel, to express what you express without judgment and condemning yourself for it, and being that parent that you really needed to yourself. And that's what's built that safety in your nervous system that has obviously translated now to being able to do stunt work that is even more dangerous. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And yeah, that's I've always wanted to do more dangerous stuff. It's
Yeah.
just
Yes.
I've had height phobia and all those phobia words you could think of. And it was all just a mental block at the end of the day, you know.
Yes. Yes. Well, mental block, because there's parts of us that they're apprehensive. You know, they don't know if we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
They need to know that we're going to be okay, because they still think we are operating from the child self. They don't know that we're an adult now and that we can handle what comes our way because we have the internal
Yeah.
to do so.
Yeah. And a big portion of it is just being able to trust ourselves. And in like for me to even understand what that meant, like, yeah, I trust myself. Like if I think of raising my hand, I'll raise my hand. No, it's a more deeper thing of if I stand at the edge of a building, I trust myself that I won't jump, you know. That's like just trusting your mind, body, and emotional self. A lot of discipline, self-control. And yeah, I think all of those were helped by the sessions I had with you, where we just had these deep like journeys into, like you helped me with journeying deep into my mindscape and seeing where the blocks and where the issues were. And I could actually put in effort to where it mattered.
Wonderful. And what were some of the, would you say the tangible benefits that have come out of our work together? So if you look at the sort of differences that are more quantifiable, because I know the internal work sometimes it has sort of the internal state changes, but then there's also external things that keep reflecting that. So what were some of those internal and external things that have shifted for you?
Okay. Firstly, I think I need to account for that time passed. I did grow older, opportunities, like I just worked on more things. So, like, in terms of tangible benefits, I'm definitely older, more successful. I have a better relationship with my friends and family. But if I want to like subtract all the other things that were going on in my life that brought me to where I am from, say, a year back, where we did start our container, a year and a half almost, year and 3 months now. But yeah, from then to now, if I just isolate the tangible benefits from the coaching container, I would say, you know, that girlfriend I spoke about, she's currently still the love of my life. Because I managed to work on the things within myself. And somehow so did she, as she saw that, you know, I was working on myself, motivated her to look within herself as well. And we had these important conversations about, you know, self-love and all that, realized that we both have similar issues, similar traumas that we're both working through. And I think the tangible benefit is, well, the intangible benefit is the relationship with myself has gotten really good and solid. The tangible benefit is the relationship with everyone else around me. My relationship with my parents is brilliant. It's the best it's ever been. I don't lie, and we're still like, they still haven't abandoned me, so that's good. Because
And you
that's
stay
why
true to yourself. Oh.
yeah. Yeah, which was my biggest fear, you know, if
Yes.
they really know the monster that they have raised, will they accept me, you
They love me.
know? Yeah. And my relationship with my friends, man, just my friend circles have changed actually. I mean, I have my OG friends like from my childhood, but only the friends that I speak to, whenever I hang out with, I come out energized, fulfilled. You know, my heart is full. I feel great, and all my friends are really driven, passionate, motivated. Really, they love something that they do, and whenever we talk, they just have love for me, and I have love for them. And yeah, I I I actually don't have anyone that I'm associated with that drains me out of energy. That's a tangible benefit. Every time I go hang out with someone, um, work related, business related,
Mm.
personally as well, I'll come out with a grin on my face and with a heart full of love that, oh, that was good. That's
Mm.
tangible. And
Mm.
that's actually a direct result of our coaching container.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I want to mention that I noticed in you a lot over time was um, the level that you of authenticity that you ended up bringing to every scenario that you were in your work situations, in your personal life. I just felt like you were already being genuine to yourself, but maybe not towards others because of the fear of being of not being accepted by certain people and in certain scenarios. And I noticed you feeling more and more safe and take up more room in that authenticity and be more genuine, more and more genuine, and more of your uniqueness started to seep out in all scenarios. And that's something I'm continuing to see blossom.
Actually, I'll add something to the tangible benefits. As a performer,
Yeah.
I started performing at music festivals, and I've I felt like that's the only place where I could be my authentic self, going to the bush and having a dance floor and stage and people, going there to just have a great time, and no judgment, just everyone there for the same reason, just to enjoy themselves. And yeah, I was like, this is my space. This is where I can be me. This is where I can be me. So a lot of me being Ninja Niaz and having that persona and performing came into play. But I guess over time, um, due to having our coaching container as well, I started being more and more comfortable, as you mentioned, in being myself. And I realized I didn't need to be um, I didn't need to only bring that out of myself in like specific scenarios and specific situations. And as I started expressing myself more and more, I realized I didn't need to go to music festivals. I didn't need to go perform there. And now, in terms of as a performer, I more so cater to high-end luxury entertainment. It's a different thing altogether. So being my authentic self and being so more confidently and more regularly, I mean, all the time, has helped me live up to my full potential in my career as well.
I definitely see that translating. Yeah, I've seen you exponentially grow in your career over the time that I've known you, and take more risks and kind of go after what you want with more ease as well. Just kind of getting in there, being like, this is what I want to do, and
Yeah,
continuously creating, continuously being like, this is what I want, and then manifesting it. I want to move out into nature. Okay, done. I want to change my my scenario at work. I want these kind of clients, done. It's just like I continuously saw you going after what you want and getting it.
That's the only way you get it, by going after it and disregarding, um, like not disregarding, but being okay with failure, you know.
Yes, which you mentioned. Yes, exactly. And I want to point out that when we become okay with failure, all that means is that internally, couple of things, but one big thing is internally we have gained the capacity to be okay with the feeling of shame if it were to arise. It means that we have the internal resources now to be like, yeah, shame, so what? So what? It's okay. It's not a big deal. It comes, it goes, but most people will not go out and take risks and do things that they truly want to do because they don't fear failure, they fear shame. they fear feeling shame, right? So if you're going out and taking these risks, it means that internally you have developed this capacity over time to be like, yep, it's cool. It's okay.
Over the year, as we worked on this container, I know it was me addressing it, but I need to bring this up. The Chakradhanya meditation, something you recommended to me. It's very important because each of the 7 chakras, I mean, that does not need to be something legit. That does not need to be something that is like a great thing to follow, but it addressed that Chakradhanya meditation you recommended to me addressed 7 energy centers in the body that were blocked by 7 different emotions. And sorry, I use that as a guide to be okay with all those 7 different emotions, starting from fear, guilt, shame, grief, my personality, so lies. And yeah, so I was going up each plane, and I learned to be okay with experiencing each of these emotions, not negating, getting rid of them, but sitting in them and being like, yep, this is part of being human, you know.
Yeah, and I know you mentioned that you shared a lot, you expressed a lot, you released a lot. Every time you listened to that meditation, there were tears flowing, and you allowed yourself to just be vulnerable and cry and not mind
Yeah,
that, which is huge. You know, I think it's huge for people to
yeah,
hear that, but that's okay.
yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah, for the first year of me meditating regularly, I cried almost every time I meditated. In fact, now I don't cry. I have tears run down my eyes as one would when they yawn. But I just see that as me releasing energy and my body just like refreshing itself. But yeah,
Correct. It's not
it's
like
pretty
deep
cool.
sorrow. It's just like, yeah, it's flowing.
Cleansing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent. So, what did you find most valuable in our one-on-one coaching container? Like, what was your favorite part?
Well, activities wise, the meditation initially, I mean, that was super valuable. I feel like a lot of the work is done not in an intellectual level, but at an emotional and experiential level. So that was, I would say, the anchor of our sessions, because once we had a thing where we had an activity to center ourselves, when I came from there, I had so much more insight. I had a much better headspace to focus on the current thing. And from our previous sessions, you would know that me like having so many activities that I engage in throughout the day, my mind could easily be scattered, and it was from our earlier sessions. So centering myself was a big thing, and I realized that, hey, why should these be exclusive to our sessions? That should be a regular activity because of the benefit I saw in the session itself. And then the next thing was, hey, you listened. It's weird, but I didn't know many people that listened, to listen. People listen to respond, people listen to reply, people listen to relate. But listening for the sake of really listening and actually just allowing the person to speak, I hadn't had that. So that was really important, having someone actually listen to me. And I initially benefited from it. I was like, wow, I actually get to speak like freely and openly. And then that's when, I started really listening to myself, because you listened and you showed me how it can be done. And through that, I learned to be able to listen to people for the sake of listening. And that just strengthened and deepened my relationships with anyone else that was open to having a proper conversation with me.
That's so beautiful.
Thank
So
you.
true. Such a simple thing, isn't it? But
Yeah,
makes sense. Yeah.
changes your perspective completely.
Yeah, and I also want to mention, there was you were also part of a group program.
Self Connection Club, let's go.
Yeah. So just tell us a summary of what you experienced in that and what you found beneficial in that as we wrap up our call.
So I really loved the Self Connection Club. Um, firstly, half of it was meditation, and it was different meditations each time. From learning from your depth of meditation practices, I I had like so many different things I could focus on now. Like I liked some of them, but like I liked some of them particularly more than the others, so I put them I put them into my regular routines. And then um just having a conversation with multiple people, knowing that we're on a similar path.
Mm,
And it was inspiring. Self connection is something we worked on in our one-on-one sessions anyway, but in a club format.
mm,
um, we were all kind of vibing on a similar energy, and we it motivated me and inspired me. It made me feel like, I was part of this thing where, I know I'm struggling, but there's people that are also struggling through similar things through life, and that motivated me to go even further into it. And it gave me a variety of perspective. Like, yes, Sanya is very knowledgeable and very emotionally like intelligent and intuitive with that, but just having completely different perspectives from people who've lived completely different lives,
mm,
and just having that added insight
mm,
really helped. I mean, I bonded with my other peers in the Self Connection Club, and just seeing them go through their struggles made me feel a lot more okay with my own.
mm,
And I wanted to show up more. I wanted to be more authentic, because I guess at one point it just became a more like everyone was giving. And when I saw that everyone was giving their energy, time, effort into this self connection active, like connecting to yourself deeper, I think we all pushed each other just a little further.
yes.
And so as a club, I think we all benefited a lot.
Mm.
So yeah, I loved it. I definitely recommend Self Connection Club with Sanya. I think it was a good experience. Really helped me with my growth. And a lot of who I am, I owe to Sanya being a part of my life.
Mm. Thank you. That's very, very kind of you to say. And I would love to wrap up our call today by just asking you, what would you say to anyone who is considering coaching as a path to go down and invest in for themselves, and wanting to get into this personal development side of things or to work with me? What would you say to them?
Firstly, I'm glad you even thought about it, because even thinking about it is the first biggest step. Um, Secondly, it's not like medicine where you swallow it and it heals. It fixes everything. It tells you where you need to work on, and then you do your own work. But a coaching container is like getting on a bullet train rather than walking there. You still need to make the effort,
Mm,
but it's going to definitely help speed things up.
mm,
So, in that sense, I would say if you feel like you need growth, emotional growth in life, then definitely at least give it a try and see um, whether it works for you or not. And from the experience of all of Sanya's other clients, and you would see that there's definitely tangible benefits to it. So yeah, all the best with your healing and growth journey. That's what I would say.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Niaz. I really, really appreciate it. You taking the time out.
Of course.